to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 565. My name is John Morgan. Cold Coffee is with me, and a very special guest joining us today. Jose Youngs, the great young Jose Youngs, the young man just trying to make his way out there in the world.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen his work. I don't know if you've heard of him yet, but he's trying to just carve his way into this industry.
Yeah.
And he's joining us today.
Yeah, the last time I was on, I think it's got to be 2 years ago. And you guys made, it was my first day on the job.
Gave you your big
I
break.
do remember you were like, this is what you should expect when you're covering the UFC. I'm like, oh, thank you. I've just been doing this for 10 years at this point. Thank you for finally telling me. But yeah, it's good to be back.
We've gotten people fired. We've gotten people that step up in the game.
See, I've been doing this so long that I get that joke.
Is that right?
I know exactly what that's
You know
from.
exactly what we're talking about. No, man, it's great to have you. And honestly, obviously, we're always just busting your balls when we say that, but it's great to see. I mean, I feel like you've kind of taken the mantle of the road warrior. I mean, I know Oscar Willis is handling a lot of stuff too, but I will also say, and I don't think Oscar would be the first one to step up and admit, when it comes to media day or press conferences, like, jump in a little bit here, jump in a little bit there, but the guy that's kicking it off, the guy that's making sure that everybody's getting questions, the guy that's handling things.
It's a trip, man.
That's become you.
It is a trip. I was having this conversation with Brian Campbell, who's now, he's on the road a lot more with Paramount. I was chatting with him yesterday, and he was kind of saying the same thing. And there are kids, I'll tell the story. You were there, but I don't think you heard it. It was the LA card last year.
Right.
So 1 year ago, when you showed up just for fight night.
Right.
And this 20-year-old journalist came up to me and was like, I used to watch you on my iPhone while I was on the bus to middle school. I'm like, that's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. That's crazy. Like, and I look around, and Kenny was there, and Mike Bond was there, and I was like, I feel so old. Are we the old people now?
Yes.
So so that in my world, I was like, okay, it was like John, Ariel, Chuck, Luke, like those are the guys that I was watching. And I'm like, am I the guy now? This is weird.
Now it's you.
It was very surreal.
That's awesome, man.
So that was the start of when Morgan just started showing up for fight nights.
Yes.
Huh?
He rolled in with his bag, with his suitcase.
So, it's funny, right?
The trend continues.
We're going to get into all the things that are going on. You guys have already had a hell of a week, and it's only Thursday morning.
Oh, my God.
But it's funny because there is a media mixer tonight at 6 o'clock. And I thought it's really the only thing. I mean, I am going to go to Zuffa Boxing. I am going to go to Zuffa Boxing because I want to see the Apex, and we'll talk about Zuffa Boxing and the debut and all that. I want to do that. And I'm going to go to Fight Night. Knew I couldn't make the press conference. Knew I couldn't make media day. I've just got so much other stuff going on. But I saw the media mixer, and I was like, on the one hand, I just want to go and say hi to everybody. Check in with everybody.
Guys. I'm still here.
Kiss the ring.
Maybe,
Kiss the ring. See, you walk in and go, this media mixer wouldn't have happened if I didn't start covering the sport. You're here because of me.
That's the reason it started coming, because I knew that I would like some free alcohol. But then I was like, well, I feel kind of guilty. I'm not really doing much else. But I decided ultimately, I'm going tonight.
You have to go.
Right?
Do you think there are young journalists that don't know who you are? That might be a weird question because
I would assume so.
I've had this conversation with Oscar where I was like, do you think they know who Chuck, John, Luke are in this age? Because it's a totally different. There are kids shooting on their phones with
very
influencer. It's bizarre to me.
It's changed so much. Mm-hmm. It's changed so much. I still watch all the media days, so I'll be honest. I usually watch Jose Young's stream versus the Cold Coffee stream, even though your picture quality is
much better. Much better.
But it is what it is.
I
usually watch the MMA fighting stream. But yeah, it is weird, man. The voices have changed.
It's super weird.
It's just different now. And look, I think, and this was as I was starting to transition kind of out of media and into operations. It was kind of one of the things that I was seeing is that, honestly, and I was even thinking about this, for you guys at press conferences, right? Press conferences. There used to be a time when that was, the only time we got to see the fighter. That was our moment to ask them questions.
Yes.
Now, by the time we show up to the press conference, we had them for a one-on-one interview. We had them for a media day.
Zoom, usually the week before.
So when people are like, Jesus, that's all you got for a question? It's I kind of feel sorry for everybody because I don't think you realize – we've already probably spoken with him for an hour.
Yep.
what else do I have to ask at this point? So you just kind of give him a softball. And I'll be honest, I would think about that too. Like, what's something that I can ask that might get a good quote that they can use for the countdown or whatever? Because I know the countdown's trying to put something together. So you just throw a little softball up, try to get them something. But then, you got fans that, like, hammer us and hammer the media and be like, you guys, softball question, what are you doing? You're like, bro, tune into the other hour of coverage we had.
Look at all of the other work we've done. And I'm not going to lie. There are some times where like at the MSG card, I think you texted me where I did like 9 questions out of the gate for like 3 fighters. UFC PR is like, can you ask like yes, you obviously you want Islam and Jack, but like, can you ask Brady and all these because they might not, because there's like because obviously there was like a huge Russian turnout in the Australian media. I was like, sure. There are times when they've done that. I'm like, I'm just gonna ask what I asked at media day.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna.
Why not?
I'm just gonna dress it differently.
Yep.
But I'm gonna say the exact thing I already asked because I know you didn't watch Media Day, so I'm gonna do it again, and they get it. Fighters, honestly, most fighters get it.
Right.
At this point,
I think they realize too that we've just got a thing to do, and and now it's they all have their own YouTube channels. They all put stuff out on their own social channels. They all it is challenging to find something engaging, unique, different to do at these press conferences.
And also, so I did some interviews Tuesday at the Apex, but it was all prelim guys. So like the first 4 fighters of the night, basically. And so I was back there, and I saw the CBS and Paramount setup with their interviews, but BBC was there, like TNT was there. So Patty and Justin, I know Connor had to do a lot of media, and Ronda had to do a lot of media. What I saw Tuesday,
it's as much as them.
I felt bad.
Wow.
Because it was like Justin finishes here and like just shifts over 4 feet, new guy. Shifts over 4 feet, new guy. It was 4 car washes.
And the interviews are going to be very similar. I mean, not to say they'll be exactly the same, but they're all going to be very similar.
Because like Patty obviously had to do all the UK media.
Right.
But because Justin is fighting Patty, he had to do the same thing.
Oh, wow.
And then because the featherweights, like Arnold, had to do the same thing. But then because Volk and Diego are fighting next week, he had to do Australian and the Hispanic media to talk about, who would you want to fight type thing. So
crazy.
It felt big, but I felt terrible for the fighters.
That's rough. It is good to be back, though. It's good to be on a fight week. I know, obviously not all MMA was shut down. Obviously, you had some Japanese events. Obviously,
Ryzen,
CFFC, baby. We were busy. Ryzen was fantastic. You had a lot, but let's be honest. The UFC still is the pinnacle of the sport. It is the one that generates the most discussion, the most eyeballs, and it's good to be back. How are you boys holding up? You're doing I mean, like I said,
we've already had our first set of naked people this week, or half naked people.
So
we just did an official weigh-ins with the boxing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we have the official weigh-ins for the first time, which is actually going to be at T-Mobile.
Yes.
We found out it is going to be on the floor, the same sort of crazy mad setup
the
the last
official
time.
weigns are on the floor?
Official weigh-ins.
Because they're setting up the Apex for the boxing on Friday.
Wow.
So the last time we were at T-Mobile, instead of putting the cameras in the risers like they always do, that now they've been putting them on the floor, which means us as the press, the camera guys, have about a 3-foot space till the seats in front of us to try to smash ourselves into. That is what it's going to be for today's press conference and what it's going to be for the official weigh-ins, because we have that, which means the ceremonials will be the same thing, which I hate this new setup that T-Mobile that they're
terrible.
Doing. It is the worst thing ever. It drives me crazy because literally before, at least when you're on a riser and you have a little bit of space, sometimes if people stand up in front of you, you're screwed.
Right.
But if they sit down and they behave, cool, maybe it'll work out. Last time I got lucky because I had like a little window in between like people's stuff. It's I hate this. I hate what's going on right now. But even this with like the pressers and with the way that they have this truck, it's bonkers.
And now, because on the road, like Abu Dhabi's the worst. The second the presser or ceremonials are over, you gotta go.
Yep.
T-Mobile and MGM used to give us, like, because they kind of recognize us, like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They weren't even off the stage, and security was like out. And I at one point was like, I'm not leaving.
Yep.
Like, I'm not moving. They were like, you have to go, and I looked him dead in the eyes. I went, no. What are you going to do?
I love it.
I'm not moving.
You get a police escort me out of here? I'll get out of here as soon as I pack up my gear.
So then me and Kenny sat on the sidewalk outside T-Mobile Arena.
Right outside the door.
Literally right outside the
right outside the door.
So
we can still have
outside
Wi-Fi
in the elements.
Oh, my God. These are the things that people don't get to see, man. But I would say, lest anybody believe that you are like, oh man, these guys, come on, they're complaining. You guys yesterday had a boxing media day,
yes,
a UFC media day, and a boxing press conference all consecutively, right? So it was basically like, I think it started at 9 and finished at 5,
which meant like getting in the building at 8 o'clock,
right?
And then we left the building after like
6.
Wow.
6,
something along those lines.
And then got up this morning already and had the official weigh-ins. Any issues at the
None?
Did they do it? Was it like UFC style where they can come up whenever? Or?
They still had an hour window, but they, a lot of them were on deck, ready to go. You had the main event that was good to go.
Exact same process.
Yeah,
same process.
Joe Martinez is going to be the Zuffa is the voice of it. So it was good catching up with him.
Love it. He is so good, and for boxing, and we are for the Hispanic names that are going to be there.
Literally, I was talking to him after. I'm like, thank God you're here, because half the card can't speak English.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm like, thank God you're not. You're gonna at least you'll nail it.
I actually talked with him. Like I was shooting the bull with him. We just talking a little bit about how his past and where he'd been around, but I didn't realize for 2 years he was with like the Globetrotters, and he did 100 events.
What?
Like 100 events, it was like a 100-day trip or something like that.
I did not know that.
I know.
Dude.
So I was like, can I set up like an interview and we just chat about some of the stuff? Because he did that, and there was some other stuff they did. He originally came from baseball. He did baseball.
Yeah, I do
So
baseball.
fun story about that. If you play. Not a lot of people know this. If you play MLB 06, the show, the one with David Ortiz, I believe it's the one with David Ortiz on the cover. They have like regular season, franchise mode, and everything, but they had a mini game. It was like a home run derby where there's like targets around the field, and you've hit it, you have to like get points, and you can play against your friends. Joe Martinez is the voice of that game.
Really?
So I only like caught on because I must have booted it up like a handful of years ago, like during COVID. I like busted out my old PlayStation and I was playing it, and I hit a home run, and it's like home run 300 points, and I'm like, that is eerily familiar.
Yeah.
And then I searched it, and it's Joe Martinez.
That's hilarious.
It's unbelievable.
I had no idea. Joe's such a good dude.
He is really good.
I saw his social media post the other day where he was like, I'm just so thankful I'm now under one banner, because Zuffa Boxing is doing a ton of events, you know what I mean? And so for him to no longer have to try to get work for Golden Boy or, whoever else, and then also coordinate that with Zuffa when they need him to fill in, now it's like they're going to be working. For a guy that's, basically, I'm sure if everybody realizes this, but they're freelancers, they're contractors, so they get paid by event. So when you're getting paid by event, like you're trying to work it so you can work every weekend so you can make as much money as possible, and sometimes it's tough because you piss somebody off, so you have to say no, and they say, and then so for it all to be under one banner, and now that company is working your schedule, and there's no, making anybody mad or whatever, because that's such a blessing for him. And I saw him post that, and I'm happy for him, because look, Buffer is Buffer, and Buffer is irreplaceable, but Joe Martinez, in a world that Buffer doesn't exist, like Joe Martinez is money.
100%. And he's such a nice guy, and you're just happy for him. So I'm glad that he now at least has some good set stuff. But when I was chatting with him, I was like, bro, I didn't even know half of your story. And I was like, we got to sit down. And I was like, we'll do a StreamYard. We'll do something where I was like, if you're here in town, I'll just do a sit down. I was like, I think you got a lot of stories. I think people would be really cool to see and to hear and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see, because I also talked with some other people that are associated, and they were like, how do you think this is going to do? Like, what do you think about Zuffa Boxing? Do you think it's there? And I was like, just like with anything, if the characters are there, and at the end of the day, if the fights are good. Now you're on a platform that a lot of people are going to see it. You maybe have a lot of boxing purists that are like, oh, should Dana get in there? Should Dana whatever? But I will tell you, working a boxing event that's run by the UFC and a boxing event that's run by multiple promoters is night and day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's us as media. Like, I'm more happy to do a UFC version like the Zuffa Boxing. But when you want to come to new people, and is it going to help boxing if the fighters show up and they put on the fights, and you have it easily accessible. Most people, it's not behind a paywall, so people can watch it. And if the fighters, and if they learn the characters, which the UFC has always been really good about, one, finding people that have a story, that have a unique, give them a chance to try to put their voice out there and do it. But at the end of the day, they got to perform. You can have the two wildest guys talking mad shit, and if they put on a boring fight, sorry, bro, you just lost your chance to fucking nail it home. But I told her, I was like, if they do what they need to do, maybe it can be, maybe it can be something.
I saw, Jose, you follow boxing, I think, a little bit more closely than Kenny and I do, but who's that guy? Cold Coffee and I do. But I saw a boxer yesterday, and it was being retweeted or whatever. And it was one of the guys on the card. I'm not sure if you saw it was, and he was talking about how amazing the experience was, right? Like how he was handled by the staff and how he was able to access the PI. I mean, that to me is what I think is going to be appealing about this, right? Like what Dana says, for better or worse, whether you like it or not, the one part that he talks about, the fact that boxing never reinvests in the sport, like that, he always calls it it's a going out of business sale. Let's take as much money as we can, but you don't put anything back into it, like that. To me, like I don't want to. Yeah, I guess I have high hopes for Zuffa Boxing. I think it's going to work. I don't see why it won't. As you said, shows got to look good on TV. Fighters got to fight. But at least having that structure and having an environment and having a schedule and having infrastructure, which boxing never built an infrastructure.
I believe Dana addressed it at the press conference yesterday. And I think what I was most nervous for is will people under Zuffa Boxing be allowed to compete for the other belts.
Right.
Because I, as a boxing fan, will love the fights. I don't particularly hold the Zuffa Boxing title.
Sure.
Is not above the WBC
Agreed.
belt. And there's just something about having the green belt or like the ring, red, white, and blue, then like draped in. The coldest image you can get is having a bunch of championships for fist fighting.
Yeah.
That's sick. And he addressed it. He's like, if people under our banner can become the number one contender for like Alexander Usyk's like WBC belt, we can do that. That is interesting to me.
That is interesting.
Because at that point, you would have to co-promote.
Yeah.
Which Dana just loves co-promoting historically.
Always, yeah.
Loves it.
Historically, always done it very well.
Imagine the image of the optics of a hypothetical world where like we have up on stage the Zuffa Boxing belt next to like the WBC, the IBF, and all
cool.
Like that would be nuts.
A lot of people seem to poop on that boxing belt.
Yeah,
the Zuffa belt.
Didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
only got
it's
a
not like
thing.
the traditional belts. That's
and
for
then
sure.
I think I wonder if that's it. Just people are used to a lot more like fancy.
Like I'll be honest, when they rolled out the new UFC belt, I didn't like it. Now I'm used to it.
Now,
like,
yeah,
now I
that's
like
it.
it.
But yeah, I did think that it was catching. It seemed like universally when I was reading, some people just like, oh, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Like it's just
better
bland,
than
nothing.
I love UFC BJJ.
Not a fan of the belt.
No,
it's a little weird.
It's a little cartoonish.
It's a little Power Ranger.
Yeah,
Power Ranger. Somebody said, who was it? I can't remember who said it looked like a gaming belt or something.
Yeah,
like
an e-gaming
board, e-gaming belt.
One,
yeah. So
here, all right. So here's all right. And I know there's huge implications that I'll admit I'm not a massive expert in the whole Ali Act and how this will impact the entire business, and we don't have to break all that down. But here's the way I see it right now. Now, we don't know. I saw Dana said that, hey, we're going to go after anybody that's talented. So maybe they'll go after Usyk, or maybe they'll go after whoever it is. But right now, I would say that if you were a boxer, if you were on the lower tier, you'd probably want to go to Zuffa Boxing, use that platform, use that lens, that machine, build yourself up, and then hit the open market and see what you can get, right? Because we know that at the top level of boxing, millions and millions and multi-millions, and we know that, right? Yeah. But we also know that at the bottom level of boxing, you got guys making $100 a round, and there's no middle class like there is in the UFC.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're an entry-level boxer, you should run to Zuffa Boxing, use that to help build your platform, and then try to hit the open market.
Has anybody heard any numbers?
I haven't. Any people? I keep hearing it's going to be comparable to the UFC, which
is not a great thing.
It's not great.
I mean, if you're talking about like 10-10 is like the starting point.
It's not great at the top end, but it's great at the bottom end. There's a lot of boxers that would be super happy making 10-10.
If you're starting your career out 10-10 would be huge for them, I imagine.
And what I hope is, I don't like whether Zuffa Boxing survives or not for like the long term, something like 10 years from now. In the meantime, what I hope is if enough promoters that dislike Dana, like the Eddie Hearns and the Oscar De La Hoyas, they obviously together. I don't know if they'll come. I can't imagine they'll come together. But if Dana is offering, say, and this is just a random number, if it is 10-10,
right,
and like in like Eddie Hearn or whatever would offer like 8-8, it would force them to increase their floor. So then all of a sudden, Dana's offering you 10-10, we'll give you 15-15.
Yep.
So like Dana's presence might force the pay to increase, because Dana's going to have to do like every Olympic Games, Summer Olympic Games, like Floyd's there, Eddie Hearn's there, like they are literally, as soon as the fights are over, they're waiting, they're like, hey, I can do this for you, I can do this for you, because obviously it's amateurs. if Dana's going to have to do that, he's going to be in this bidding war of like the future.
That's interesting.
So I am very curious if, like I said, Dana raises the floor of all boxing, which is more important.
Yeah.
Infinitely because you can use it's like whenever any avenue when you're trying to get a raise, you can be able, well, this company's offering me this. What can you offer me? So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Do Jose's familiar with that situation?
Yeah, love that.
Do typical boxing contracts usually do like the win and show bonuses, or is it just it's just usually just a lump purse?
It's
right?
usually a lump purse, and if you're high enough, you can get some like pay-per-view kickback or you get like you would have to sign with a network, like Floyd was Showtime, and Manny Pacquiao was HBO, and then that becomes a whole thing. And then remember for Manny, they were also signed to hotels. Because Floyd was like an MGM guy,
right.
and Manny was a Mandalay Bay guy.
Yeah.
So then at the press conference, they would be like, "We'd also like to thank the Mandalay Bay."
Yeah.
Floyd would like shout out to MGM, but I can't imagine the Zuffa boxers will be able to wear sponsors though.
That's a good question. We're gonna find out tomorrow night, right?
Which is a huge part. I
would think they want them in uniforms. So I
guess that's even changing. If they are doing, I mean, do we even know for sure if they're doing a show or win? I mean, I guess we just assume because we're so used to the UFC doing that. I guess that's something right there. Just wondering that would be already a change to the game.
We don't even know what the new UFC bonuses are. Remember Dana
so
kept
wild.
and it's like the fights are in 48 hours.
So wild. The Zuffa Boxing rollout was weird to me. Like, and I know I saw Dana doing an interview where he's like, I just kind of want to keep it low key what we're doing. But it seems weird. Like you want to make a big splash.
That's certainly a way to play it off. You know, like we didn't really do the legwork to do the promotion of a launch of a major project of ours. We just want to be low key about no, bro.
I'll be honest, man. I'm optimistic about it, man. I feel like I've seen all the coverage I've had. I feel like the majority of the coverage is pessimistic and saying it's a bad thing for the sport. But exactly what you said, Jose, and then me just for Zuffa Boxing itself, I think they're going to do a good job. So I'm excited to go see the first.
And I will tell you, watching the production team, seeing the stress levels on the people involved, like they're all in. Like Paramount with and the people bring it in, like. This is not just like, okay, well, we got this new thing. Let's just go whatever and just sort of half-ass it. Like they are.
Sounds like they're building it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like it's not just they're not just porting over the UFC product.
So I'm excited for that. Like if Paramount's this much invested in the UFC is really trying to kick it off, I'm hopeful. Because you got that many people putting their effort behind it. It's gonna look good. We just need the fighters to do what they need to do, and then at that point,
hey, that's all you can do, right?
There was some heat at the press conference yesterday.
It was the two guys off to the end.
A lot of it, do you remember when we did that? What was it? It was Kobe Bryant's drink in New York.
Yep.
They did that press conference.
Yep.
So everyone kept asking Dana questions.
Body armor?
Yes, body armor. Yes. So it's all Dana questions. So I'm take the mic. I'm like, can all of the fighters just say something about this?
Yes.
That was what I did yesterday because I didn't really have anything. I'm like, everyone up there, Zuffa Boxing, your thoughts?
Right.
And it was
you should have seen the media guy behind you that was grumpy about that.
Sorry about it. Really?
Because he was just like, and then he asked his one maybe question or two, and then he went off. But yeah, I think in his mind he was just like, ball hog or something. I just remember I was looking, I was like, is he being pissy because whatever?
I don't have to ask things. They asked me to anyway, but I basically did that, and it was a lot of there's not a lot of charisma up there, and then the two guys at the end, I was like. I came from the gutter. You had the silver spoon, and he's just like, I was a champion. I was 9. You were a champion. You were 15, and they were just going at it. And
then they couldn't really hear each other, and he's like, he'd say something like, "What'd you say?"
Yeah.
And say it again. So the guy didn't really hear him again, and he's like, "Yeah, that's right." Yeah. He's like, "I don't think he heard you."
And then they finally face off, and Dana is just like, this is going to be good.
Yeah. You can definitely see the excitement in Dana's love in his eyes when he saw that. He was like, okay, this is fun. This is worth it.
Well, you can see, boy, in his pre-fight interviews and all that stuff, when he's the boxing stuff, you can see the enthusiasm. I get what people are saying. I understand the observations right now that a lot of people are making that, Dana is mailing it in. He doesn't care. That's not true. But I do see that, his enthusiasm level for boxing is, you can visibly see how much more excited he is.
You do that many events, regardless how many stuff he's got his hands in, at some point you're going to be tired. Your energy level can only be 110% so often, you know.
That dude's I see this growing sentiment that Dana's just a figurehead. He's not even involved in anything anymore. And I'm like, are you actually around at all? Do you actually speak to any employees at the UFC? It's not the truth.
Yeah.
But I do see the enthusiasm level for boxing. It's it's there.
It's brand new. It's the squeaky new thing, the squeaky new toy, man.
Yeah.
It's cool to see him, but I mean, again, if he wasn't there yesterday, that presser would have sucked.
Right.
It would have just been like us just talking to a bunch of guys that we didn't know.
Because Callum is a great boxer, but he's not Conor McGregor.
Yeah, not at all. And like those guys probably they didn't even say anything to each other.
Right.
You know, not that there was ever going to really be a heat, but when you need a translator, kind of translate it anyways. But the fact that the two guys in the end stood, like, kind of rose to the occasion and kind of like made it fun to kind of watch the presser, you know. So it was kind of interesting. So if more fighters do that, I can see where Dana's like, hey, this is going to be fun.
It definitely, it generally made me interested in the fight.
Yes. That's
awesome. Like now, like obviously Callum's the guy. Oh, and I will say this to Dana's credit is he brought up the fact that for the fight when Callum was on the co-main for Crawford Canelo.
Right.
I cannot remember for the life of me who he fought, and I apologize, but he's like, Callum brought it up. He's like, everyone said he was fighting me and Dana because Dana was promoting him. And then Dana, after the press conference, pulled Callum's opponent aside and was speaking like pretty like in Dana talk. But I don't know what he was saying, but I could recognize a few
Fernando
of the things.
Vargas Jr.
Yeah, that's what we fought. That's what we fought on the Crawford Canelo card. It was basically like, I'm not against you type conversation. It's like, it's not me and Callum versus you. Like, I hope you know that. Like, if you knock him out, you will be a superstar.
Our guy.
Yep. You're there. So,
but I mean, that's kind of a lot of what boxing is, though. When you got like the promoters helping do it. So, like, if you're going against Golden Boy's dude,
you already know they think you're going to lose.
You already know, yeah. I mean, so it's like, I get the idea. So it's probably a lot of that layover, you know, from that's what all boxing is, you know, because it wasn't like
100%.
If you did watch any of the UFC promotion, obviously they've been building Callum Walsh up forever. I don't think it was anything particularly that fight because I thought Vargas got a lot of good promotion on his own right, and he did a really good job on his own. But I could definitely see that. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting that Dana right off the bat, Callum didn't even finishing like what he was like saying, and Dana like jumped right in and was like, "Let me just say something." I was like, "Whoa!" Like Dana hopping in here quick.
I'm just so used to like when Triple G fought Canelo the first time, which I don't know if you guys remember that fight.
Yep.
I'm the biggest Canelo fan you'll meet. Triple G won that fight.
Right.
It was not a draw.
Right.
Yep.
And Oscar is up on, I think it was Oscar, was up on the podium, was just like, oh, great draw, like so deserving. And the media were like, what are you talking? Oh, he has to say that.
Yep. He can't speak against his boy, and he was probably high on coke.
Well, this will remain a mixed martial arts podcast, but I do think it's a historic week, and I'm excited for it, and we'll see where it goes. And I think we'll probably have some coverage. I think that all the events are going to be here at the Apex, so we'll probably have a little coverage here and there when it makes sense. Gives us an opportunity to speak with Dana, et cetera, et cetera. But of course, what we're here for this week is UFC 324. Took a big hit. Obviously, it sucked losing Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. I'll be honest with you, I was looking forward to that fight. I think more than even the main event, just because of the historic nature of it.
100%.
I'm glad that it sounds like they're going to wait. I think Amanda's right. Like, if for some reason Kayla can't go, then Amanda would fight somebody else for the title. But if it's not for the title, if it's for an interim title, like, what's the point? Like, I think that's spot on, right? Yep. We know she's not doing it for money. We know she's not doing, it's legacy. So I think it makes total sense.
There's also not a big name for her to fight.
Not.
Like, if there was a name rising up the ranks, like a Patty, who like Patty might not quote unquote deserve the title,
right?
But he's a huge name.
Got the buzz.
The biggest name is Kayla, and then after that, it's a pretty steep drop.
Steep drop off. But it does leave us with Justin Gaethje and Patty Pimblett. They've done, as you said, they've been doing the rounds. They've been doing crazy levels of interviews and promotion, and it is cool to see Paramount Plus getting really behind it. Man, they're doing a lot of stuff, trying to cross over wherever they can. I'll be honest with you. I'm starting to get a little bit torn in this fight, right? Because I've been shocked from the beginning that Patty Pimblett was such a big favorite, and remains a big favorite. I thought for sure. I think he even addressed it. I think you guys talked about the media day. I think even he said he thought the line would flip or something. That public sentiment would come in after Justin Gaethje. I mean, obviously, guys, we've all covered Justin Gaethje from World Series of Fighting on over. Like, we've seen the run. We know what he's capable of. We've been cage side. We've watched all those performances. And I'm having a hard time getting that out of my head that he is just this destroyer of men that will go toe-to-toe and will throw down. And I know Patty's saying he wants to have a war. I don't know if that's how accurate that is. Don't
say that until the war starts.
Yeah, no, right?
And then you're like,
I'm just joking. I don't want a war. So
takedown. Here we go.
I don't know. So I was watching the media. Obviously, Patty. We noted it the other day at the open workout. Patty was in great shape coming in. It doesn't look like he's going to have a terrible weight cut. Obviously, we'll see what he's like at the press conference. He'll try to rally.
Justin's a big boy too. It's not like Justin goes into
weight day. They were eye to eye at the face-off.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody keeps worrying about Patty's weight. Like Patty seemed like he was pretty good. I mean, like don't count that Justin's not going to struggle too. Getting on there. But yes, I'm looking at the odds right now, and it just continues to grow. It started and it grows. But it's funny because Justin even said that, and I remember him talking about it in the past. He's like, out of his last 14 fights, 11 times he's been the underdog. That is bonkers.
That's insane. I didn't realize that.
That is just crazy. And he brought up, so he's like, I feel like I've always been, so it's not like a big deal. But I mean, Patty's coming in with the hot hand. He looks good. I mean, like he's like the upcoming thing that I think everybody's been looking at for a while, to be something. But you're going against a guy that's just engaging.
Yes.
I mean, granted, maybe people are looking at. And I think Justin even mentioned it too. People were thinking about the knockout from Max, and I think did he say it was like one of the best things?
Yeah, he says the best thing that happened to him.
Yeah, which is just crazy. But I mean, like people think that that's the last team mentioned, so they're like, obviously, we saw him get folded. It's going to be easy to do that. And like, it's not.
It's not.
It's not easy to do that.
I mean, his last 3 losses are to Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, and Habib Nurmagomedov, dude. Like. You know what I mean? Like that
slouches.
And in between, he's got wins over Chandler, Fiziev, Poirier. You know what I mean? Like. Come on, man. Like, so I don't know. And listen, and I'm not a Patty hater by any stretch. I like Patty a lot, man. I love his personality. I like his skills. I think we've been saying from the beginning that if you're just going to call him a hype train, you're not doing yourself a favor because he is good. But I'm just having a hard time, like, man, Justin Gaethje knocks people out.
Do you think it's more – yes, he got knocked out by Max.
Right.
And then the Fiziev fight was the Fiziev fight. It wasn't like a – of all the the first Fiziev fight was better than the second in terms of performance.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's just because Patty looked really good against Michael Chandler?
I think it has to be because Patty looked really good against Michael Chandler, right? Because I mean, the path to get here, right? Like, I mean, it is crazy when you look at, the names that we just rattled off with Justin Gaethje, and then you go to Patty Pimblett, and look. This is the UFC's job.
Yes.
This is exactly what the UFC has to do. You go talk to, they won't say it on record because they're not allowed to, but you talk to the matchmakers, and you know what? I'll just say if you were talking to Joe Silva, because Joe Silva doesn't talk anymore, but he'll tell you, my job is not to make champions. My job is to make contenders. My job is to maneuver people into – now, once they get there, whatever happens, happens. They did a phenomenal job of getting Patty Pimblett to the spot. But you're talking about, Luigi Venturini, Rodrigo Vargas, Jordan Levitt, Jared Gordon, which everybody knows the Jared Gordon fight, Tony Ferguson, King Green, and Michael Chandler. It looked phenomenal against Chandler. Some people will tell you Chandler's way on the backside of the hill. I mean, he hasn't fought. And I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not. I know it sounds like I'm being a Patty hater, and I'm not. I would love to see him win because this dude is a star. Like, he's going to be – I think for the sport – Patty Pimblett winning would be better, right? Because Pimblett, much more star power, I believe, just inherently. Now, obviously, the fighting itself, Justin Gaethje is everybody's favorite fighter. But Patty's just got that star quality. People follow him. And he's got a lot longer career ahead of him, right?
That's
Justin Gaethje's
that's all I was
going
to say. Was like, he's got the whole – you had a whole future where I feel like fans that are – even if you have new fans that are getting into it, there's a guy that they can hook on to and ride along with them.
Yeah, what if all these people tune in to watch for the first time and Justin Gaethje wins? He's like, well, that's it. Thanks. Appreciate you. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to win this title.
I just wanted to win the title.
And I'm done. And thank you, Paramount. So, I don't know. So, anyway, I'll leave you guys. I mean, I don't. Are you even required to make picks anymore? Did they just did they retire you and say, listen?
They haven't even fully acknowledged my greatness yet. They did. Matt Erickson did sort of bring it up in the last one. He's like,
I can't fit any more trophies on there, or what?
Because he wanted to talk about how he's like, I want to get like a traveling belt or something to go around, but also send like a small belt or a small award to previous winners or whatever. And he brought up about how I'd have my fourth little award or whatever.
4 times, dog.
But I will tell you, as the current 2-time reigning, 4-time champion, I did go with Patty for this one.
Did you go with Patty?
I did go with Patty, but I
just see him getting it to the ground early, or
I just feel like he's gonna toy enough to make Gaethje want to stand in the middle and try to start swinging, but I think he's going to use all the other little interesting parts to his game. As much as they want this to be a sling and bang and whatever, I just think he's got more weapons and he's more it's that youth and that, just energy. I think he's just got more stuff. But yes, will he get it to the ground? And if he gets it to the ground, it's done. I think he's got great wrestling. He's got whatever. But if you go jiu-jitsu for jiu-jitsu, it's not even – I don't even think it's even close.
I think the path to victory for Patty is because Justin
He even said it, I think, yesterday or whatever. He's like, it's going to probably end up being a submission. And I think that's 100% what it's going to be.
Justin gave a really interesting interview with Michael Bisping. And they were talking about how Bisping and Justin both had the same experience where – because if you watch the Charles fight – he defended all of the chokes well because he knew he would, so that he prepped that. And Bisping said the same thing when he fought GSP. It's when Charles and GSP rocked him, and they didn't know where they were, and all of a sudden they were on their neck.
Can't drill it anymore.
If he does that, if Patty rocks Justin and then snatches the neck, that's wrap.
That's over.
But I think if it's just a clean takedown and Justin has his wits about him, I think he can defend enough.
Yeah.
But Justin gets hit a lot. And I think Patty's power is severely underrated.
I agree. So that's why I keep because I'll be honest with you, I'm in the same page as both you guys. Like I really think that Patty, just the grappling, the younger, the energy, all those things, and then I just go, John, you're talking about Justin Gaethje. You know what I mean? It's Justin Gaethje, bro. Like how? So I'm excited. I'm excited, even though this isn't the undisputed title, and even though I like that Justin did come around and say it is still a title, and I do financially get things. I like that. So even though there's reasons to kind of downplay this or whatever, I am excited about it. I am not only am I've been me, man. I've been super excited about this new era, the Paramount era. Like it just feels like something big is starting. I love the fact that now so many more people are going to get to watch this stuff because they don't have to pay pay-per-view. I'm excited about that. But I'm intrigued by when these two step in the cage on Saturday night. I will feel intrigue of what's going to happen.
And I know we saw a little bit with Justin because we're still waiting to see if bonus is going to change. Nobody knows anything. And Dana in the past has always said, well, these fighters have their contracts. You already have a contract. It's already written. I know a lot of people were thinking it's the Paramount era. Everybody's going to be paying more. You hear Gaethje clearly in the media day saying nothing's changed.
I wish, and not that he would necessarily go over contract details, whatever, but I will say this, and I like Justin Gaethje a lot. Obviously, man, he's been, again, we've covered him since World Series of Fighting. He's great. But if you're making the exact same amount of money that you were making before without pay-per-view incentive, then you are technically making more of a base pay, which is what I always heard. Not that everybody's pay is going to go up, but that everybody's base pay is going to go up to compensate for the fact that there is no part of you sharing in pay-per-view revenue. So if it is fair, I think it's both things are fair. You're right. You're not making a single dollar more, but you also don't have any risk incentivization here as to what if the sales are low, what if the sales are high, that sort of thing. So that's my understanding and how these contract adjustments were done. Not that just across the board everybody's making more money, but that everybody's base pay got brought up. But I will say I do think it is going to be very very important, I should say, for the managers right now to pay attention to this stuff, right? Because, for instance, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor says, the quote that he came out, my contract is void because it's written around pay-per-view. Well, your contract's not void. You still are under contract with the UFC. But the point that he's making is right. These terms no longer make any sense because I have all these incentives in pay-per-views, and I'm a big pay-per-view draw, and that's not even a possibility anymore. So now we got to come back to the table, and we got to adjust these. So I thought that was interesting to see how people kind of ran with that headline. It's not void. He's still under contract. But what Connor's saying is true. So this is what every manager and every athlete, I hope, is really, because there's going to be an adjustment period right now, right? It's making sure that you are compensated fairly.
You specifically, John, should ask your friend CM Punk about this, because it reminds me of his comments when the WWE launched the network, WWE Network, and it was $9.99 a month.
Right.
And I believe at the time Punk was the reigning champion. This might have been the summer of Punk, I don't remember. But he was telling this is after he famously left after his podcast for 10 years.
Right.
He was doing an interview, I think, and he had, because he was the champ, people viewed him as the guy the locker room leader. But he's veterans would come up to me and be like, how does this, if we're getting kickback on pay-per-view sales?
Yeah.
What do we do? You should ask him about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good. Appreciate that.
So it's not.
I like
this,
that.
It reminds me.
Yeah, it's exactly the same, right? They did the same thing. They went off pay-per-view. And they went to was it Peacock, or they made their own network? That's right. They did WWE
Network
first. That's right.
Because we asked that. This was back in the golden era when Dana would do his scrums after the press conferences.
Oh, those were the best.
And we asked him. He goes, "Oh, Vince is a lunatic. He's always trying new things." And then we were like, "Would you ever do that?" And he was like wishy-washy about it. And then now he's on like Paramount Plus for $9.99. It's crazy. It's crazy. Full circle.
It is nuts, man. It is nuts. The rest of this card, Sean O'Malley, Song Yadong, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Derek Lewis. That's a fun fight. Natalia Silva, Rose Namajunas, Arnold Allen, John Silva is the main card. Cole Coffey, any of those you're looking forward to the most out of it?
O'Malley.
Sugar Sean and Song Yadong.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, obviously, Derek Lewis, our boy. I'm really interested to see how that heavyweight fight goes. I mean, the Rose fight, Natalia Silva, sure, there's some questions there, but the big boys, Derek Lewis and Waldo's I'm probably looking forward to, well, I am really looking forward to see how O'Malley does against Song Yadong. But
I like this new O'Malley, man. I like this kind of mature O'Malley. You know, it's obviously you got to be marketable and you got to be out there and you got to be, have the flair or whatever. But some of it just felt so like over the top, comical.
You think it's the parenthood?
Ridiculous.
Wasn't he talking about his kid?
That, and he did it. I do not remember who the interview was on Tuesday during like the partner stuff. He goes, "I foolishly thought I could be the next Conor McGregor in terms of fame."
Right.
And he goes, then he quickly realized, like, there's one Conor McGregor. Yeah. You could be famous. You're not going to be that level of fame.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
He is 30-something. He's got a kid, maybe two. He's got a compound.
Yeah.
That he keeps
take
buying
care of his family.
He's trying to move his like immediate family, like his brothers and mom and dad are going to move on to the compound too. He's got like animals and stuff. So.
He's got things to fight for more than fighting for fame. I think that was the difference. Before he was trying to fight to be like Conor.
Yeah.
Now he's like, it's the things that make sense. So you could see that in his demeanor.
There's
a different aura.
He's
still got the crazy hair, but he's carrying himself.
He's carrying himself. Yeah. There was one moment yesterday that made me laugh. Like, I didn't know. I guess I'm sure this has been brought up somewhere, and I just don't remember it. But somebody asked him about being like a 3-round champion or whatever,
yes.
and he was like, "Yeah, like I'm looking forward to being the 3-round champion and winning this
still
belt."
There.
And then he pauses for a second and just kind of laughs at like how ridiculous that is. That like, you know what I mean? Like when he used to come in and do the undisputed thing, but he would just like, but he would just like keep serious, and you would try to have a little fun with him, but he wouldn't really laugh at himself. Like you could see, like he took a second and just kind of laughed at himself, like fucking ridiculous.
You know it's the most absurd thing, and he gets it. He gets it.
But I love it. So I'm really excited about that. And again, not to take away from Song Yadong, he's a fantastic athlete. English is getting off the charts. Yep. I mean, very cool to see that. So it'd be a huge win for him. But I think, again, for the sport, for Paramount, for the UFC, Sean O'Malley being up that'd be huge.
Having a Chinese contender, though, would be pretty massive.
It would be massive.
There's a reason why, like, sports want, like, Chinese and Indian superstars because that just opens
huge
up.
Population base.
Well, like, there's a reason Wei Li is a megastar over there.
Well, I was going to say, we had a champ. We still didn't get over there.
That's true.
That was crazy. I guess
Ricky Tercios. Always glad to see Tercios on the card.
Know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
I interviewed him on Tuesday, and obviously we talked about only anime. The most dry human, but like he's saying fascinating things.
Yep.
But I'm like, if you had a slight inflection in your voice, this would be my favorite thing ever. He also does this thing it drives me up a wall where you think he's
pontificating his answer, or he's just sitting there quietly thinking about it?
Yeah, that.
Like, let me think
he
about
does
it.
that. He goes, let me think. Like he says out loud when he's thinking, but the way he ends sentences sounds like he has more to say.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, you're done.
Yeah.
He's like,
I don't think.
And then I watched One Piece. I'm done. I was like, oh, next question.
That's a funny thing. I don't think people like different athletes, and there's some that just have a weird cadence or rhythm where it's like it's hard to figure out like when am I supposed to jump in and when am I don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want to leave this awkward silence, but that is something that you get in the interview section.
Lovely guy.
I get punched for a living.
He's the best.
It was a trip on Tuesday interview. Like I interviewed Charles Johnson, who the opposite. I would ask a question and he decided he was going to talk about something else, which I loved.
Yep.
Denzel Freeman and I basically became best friends.
Nice.
But he kept. So I was on camera with him. So I was on the left, he was on my right, and when he would get into the conversation, he would pivot and talk to me So his back was to the camera. And I'm like, this is like people that watch wrestling in the 80s would know. I obviously wasn't alive, but I've seen the videos when people would cut promos with Mean Gene. They were talking at Mean Gene, so their backs would be to the camera because they weren't
thinking like, hey, we need to be addressing the camera right now.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, Denzel, move, gotta move. It was so lovely guy though.
That's
lovely
amazing. I guess the one that's got all the hype, Atiba Gauthier. That dude looks like a problem. He's a beast.
He is such an interesting guy when you can get him to open up.
Yeah.
When he talks about his street fights he's had in his life, he like feels bad about like the damage he did because he's Atiba Gauthier. And we were like, oh, and he goes, so I punched this guy, and then he just went down. And then I was like, oh, I'm powerful. I'm like, yeah, you really are. Yeah. He's a guy, because I used to joke about Francis. Like, if I thought there, like, at the peak of Francis' power, if he punched me in the arm, I could die.
Yeah.
From an arm punch.
Yeah.
Atiba Gauthier is the same way.
Yeah. I'm excited about his future. He's definitely somebody to watch. I think it's going to be a fun card, man. To me, it looks like just a ton of interesting matchups up and down the card, man. I think it's going to be good. I know
it is a good card.
You know, again, we took a big hit with that, the women's fight, obviously, but it's still good. An hour earlier, remind everybody that, which not complaining about. You're going to love it, especially when you're doing events on the East Coast. That hour, that's a big hour.
It's like. I was very indifferent. I am so indifferent now to networks and like I'm curious about how, because at the end of the day,
how it looks.
At the end of the day, product is the product. Like the fights are going to happen regardless of what logo is on it. So I was there for the Fox era. I was there for the ESPN era, and I have cared about nothing more than when the UFC announced it would start an hour early. I'm like, this is the best thing. This is the best thing.
I feel like because I share your excitement and enthusiasm there, and I feel like that's a very old person thing to say, but it just I mean, when you talk about, I mean, guys, for a decade, 15 years plus, we've given up every single Saturday night, and it's late, and it's it bleeds, and what's the harm in doing it a little bit earlier, man? Like, and I'd love to see fight nights be during the day, like college football or something. You know what I mean? Let's get these fighters walking about 10 a.m., bro.
Then actually be able to have your night. Now it's just like I can't remember what Saturday nights are like. It's like, oh, you want to hang out on Sunday? And they're like, no, we got work on Monday. I'm like, fuck. Saturdays are always occupied.
I can't do anything.
At least it's not the Fox era with like the pacing.
Yes.
The one because all these young kids like they complain about pacing now. I'm like, I don't want to hear about pacing until you had to watch the UFC. Was it Saskatoon or whatever? Wherever Max fought Charles the first time. That was the longest card of my life. And I kept telling myself, it will be worth it because Max Holloway was fighting Charles Oliveira. And then it lasted 90 seconds. Charles Oliveira got hurt. And I get that is my baseline for MMA disappointment. Like, that is my base. Like,
was it more or less disappointing than that moment?
Bingo. And if it's not, I don't complain. And if it is, that's a bad card.
That's funny. I'm excited. Like, I really do. I really do think this is going to be a good thing for the sport. That it just gets exposed to so many more people potentially, and they can just get a chance to watch it. You know what I mean? I met so many people that especially once I got a little further outside the bubble, they're just like, I love the fights, but it's $75. I can't pay that. I can't afford that, and I get it, especially when it's every single month. You know what I mean? So to have that. Did you guys see? There was a explainer day. I saw this on Instagram this morning. I don't know if I can find it again. There's a cool little animated video that was. It's called God. What? Now I'm pissed off that I should have liked it or retweeted or something. But anyway, it was explainer. But I guess it's this company. Clearly, they were paid by TKO or Paramount to do this. But it's this cool animation. It was on Instagram. I think it's called. I can't remember. It had 600,000 views. They had other videos that I guess they've done for other sports where it's explainers, whatever. And it's like a camera over a drafting table and a dude's drawing.
Oh, I did see that. That was really neat.
Cool, right?
That was very neat.
Yeah. Really nice thing. But when they started talking about this is what it used to cost for one, and now this is what it costs for all. The whole thing was really well done. But it is amazing that I mean, it used to cost you $1,000 if you wanted to watch everything. Now it's going to cost you $100. If it is increased prices.
It is much better for the consumer. Much better for the consumer.
All right, listen, have to mention PFL.
I was literally just texting you like, hey, do we mention Don
Got to
Davis?
mention PFL, man. Obviously we had started to hear about the layoffs.
Yep.
I think after we recorded last week, maybe that we started hearing about it.
I think it was right around then.
Maybe it was before. I can't
remember.
remember. I don't remember talking about it last week. But yeah, we started hearing about some PFL layoffs. And some friends that we had over there that were losing their jobs, and so obviously that was kind of sad for us. And you get it. Anytime you bring in like new leadership and new whatever, you're going to have turnover. You're going to have a change in direction. You're going to have disagreements or whatever. But to see Don Davis step down,
crazy,
wild, man. Really wild. Because, and look, I know there were a lot of people that were just basically like celebrating this. I don't celebrate it. I think Don, while wasn't always the greatest forward-speaking face of the company, did some very, very good things behind the scenes, had some very powerful connections, did a hell of a lot in his time with the PFL, was always, and I'm sure you guys share the same sentiment, but was always very kind with any interaction I had with him, man. He was, overly top and being enthusiastic and nice and that sort of thing. So, but to see him step down, it's got to hurt, man. It's got to hurt. And was it a decision that he was in agreement with or okay with? I don't know, man. I can tell. Look, I can tell you walking away from MMA Junkie, and that was hard. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It was difficult to leave something that we had built. Obviously, Dan Stupp was the gentleman that started it with two others, and I was just a minority owner. But I spent 16 years there, and we were an independent company and helped build it up and all that. And walking away from it and just leaving, it's your baby. You built a company, and you're leaving it with somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. And so, it was a bit shocking to say the least. And again, I know a lot of people celebrated it. I definitely won't. I was sad to see it, but it does really make an interesting question, right? Because you look at the press release, and they came straight out, and I kind of really like how straightforward the press release was. Number one, they're bringing in new capital in the money they're going to use to retire existing debt and fund ongoing growth and operations. So that's good. Hey, we brought in more money. We're going to get rid of these debts that we have, so we can free up the balance sheet, and we're going to look and get aggressive. And then the capital company, they gave a statement that they're like, hey, we see significant position ahead. We like John Martin, and we're going to continue to grow. It's just, it's tough, man, because when you bring in capital companies, right, like you don't expect that they want to operate a company for a long time. Like they want to come in and they want to extract income out of it, right? They want to make profit. Yep. When investment bankers come in, it's always
I'm getting into this for the long term.
Well, that's it. When you hear people talking about like raising capital and stuff like that, you're like, you do understand these people want their money back, with 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, whatever. Like you've got to pay it back.
Not 20 years in the future. They want it back soon.
Right. They're not coming in to operate a fight company for the next 10 years and hoping to get their money back. Like they're looking. So on the one hand, I'm like, hey man, maybe this could be good. Like Don Davis, maybe Don got this thing as far as he could get it, and now that they're going to accelerate the growth and it's going to go to the next level, right? Yeah. And there's an opportunity. And again, where's their next TV deal? Is it ESPN getting involved? Is it not? If ESPN wants to heavily invest, all right, now we got something. If they don't, But then there's the other side where an investment company can come in and they can saddle a company with loads of debt.
Yep.
And they can fold it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's a write-off for them.
Yep.
And that shit scares me too. So I am very interested to see what this is, because this is either and they're trying to position it as a very big step. Like I said, dude, I've said from the beginning, and I've said it 100 times, I think they should just give up on the United States and just focus on international and they're selling out arenas over there. Like, just crush it. Yeah. But, I asked John Martin that when I spoke to him for the first time, and he's like, well, but you got to have a good, look in the U.S. But I think the only reason you need a good look in the United States is to attract investors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're profitable somewhere else, just do that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I guess I wanted to get your guys' take. Do you feel like it's a good thing, and hey man, this is a good position, or do you feel like, this might be the writing on the wall?
I stopped trying to figure out what PFL's path was going to be. Like the second they bought Bellator, I think we got a little excited because we get all these matchups, and then almost immediately they cut all the big names.
Right.
Or not cut, or just granted release, I should say. And then we re-signed Dakota, we re-signed Johnny. I'm like, maybe they are investing, and all of a sudden they're doing these layoffs. Then Johnny and Dakota are fighting in Africa, that's cool. Do that,
right?
Like you said.
Yeah.
Now Johnny is fighting Brian Battle,
right?
Which I don't think any of us saw.
Did not see that one coming.
Fun fight, but like in Pittsburgh, right, or something like that. I'm like, what's the turn of that going to be?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
There's levels.
There's levels.
There's levels.
Well, even it seems like, their format's going to switch up. Some of the things that we thought that they were doing cool, a lot of the tournaments, a lot of the other stuff, it seems like that stuff's going to go away, and they'll maybe go more like the UFC route. But whenever you have bookmakers, or when I call like money firms coming to come run stuff, they want to make money. They want to do the things, but we lost a lot of people that were the heart and the people that brought this thing up. Ray Seffo, which was World Series of Fighting, which eventually became the PFL. Getting rid of Ray Seffo, Peter Murray was a nice guy, was a good, solid guy as well.
Ray, I cannot explain if people don't know, and we talk about there being generations gone. There's a lot of people that have no idea how successful Ray Seffo was as a kickboxer. And I get that, but I cannot explain to people how respected and loved that dude was in the locker room.
I remember when he went, and we were at the Nevada State Athletic Commission when he went there. When they went there, and it's just kind of crazy to think. Like, I remember when they were there petitioning the Nevada Commission to get approval to allow the World Series of Fighting to even be a thing, and now to see it how it's went and it became this incredible thing, and now to see the end of that sort of chapter is just kind of sad, because how much of it was his heart and soul and what he put into it, and just seeing some of these characters put into it, and then you hear people come in and say, all right, we're going to let these people go and do all this other stuff, and we have hope for the future, and it's like, but you just literally cut out the heart of the company.
I'm so glad you said so it's funny because I've seen that twice in my life, right? So I started with this restaurant company, Abuelos, right? And when I started, there were 6 restaurants there. So it was still the core people that ran it all, right? It was the people that literally wrote the recipes, that literally started the concept, that built the first one, and eventually it expanded to 40 units, and it never got corporate because it never sold. It's still a privately held company, but all the people turned over, and the people that started it left, and it just becomes a job to people, and then obviously, I saw it at MMA Junkie, I saw the founder leave, and I saw people come in that were it's just a job, you know what I mean? And maybe they're good at their job, but it's just a job. It's not the thing you built, the thing that you love, the thing that you had passion for, that you had a vision for, and it the
thing you stay up at night. Like Ray would literally run a practice, work out, 12-hour day or whatever, and then go home, and you would still see him thinking matchmaking, thinking of the PFL, thinking of the World Series, whatever. Not that this company won't get there, but when you kind of get the heart and soul, then you start wondering at what point, when the numbers don't match, when does the company cut out? When do they finally say that this business venture doesn't work? When it's your baby, when you help build it, when you put your heart and soul and sweat and tears, you work through the hard times. You work through the lean times. You take less money. You do whatever. You stick around and you try to find another way to make it work. It's just kind of unfortunate. They got to a point where they reached out and more people, and then you get more and more money involved, and then you get less say, and then at some point, well, you're just not the fit for it anymore, and it's just kind of disheartening. Yes, we want the PFL to keep going. We want it to do stuff, but it just kind of sucks that the people that carried it on their shoulder and literally carried it in their hearts are no longer there anymore.
It's just, and I think too, and again, I'm not picking on, I've been a huge PFL fan, and I think, again, kind of like we talked about in boxing, just having more organizations is a good thing for it. To have more bidders on your services is a good thing. Jose Young's a living example of having more bidders for your services. It's a good thing. But
someday I'll tell that story.
It's a great story. It's a great story. I had a front row seat for it. It was good. But no, it's I think about it, and again, I don't want to pick on them or whatever, but I think about the number of press releases I saw of executive hires at PFLs. This executive, that executive, that executive. When was the last time you heard of somebody we know that's been in the fight business for 20 years that just got picked up by the PFL? You know what I mean? It's they just got rid of everybody that knows the sport inside and out, and that. Now, granted, I know that having those executives that have big business ties and great business relationships and can open doors and get meetings, that's huge. But you still need people that know the sport, know what they're doing.
You can't just bring somebody in because he has a good record of getting ad sales and partnerships. That's a portion. That is something.
Yep.
You need that, but you need to have people that have experience and understand this market, and understand the people, but also that fighters respect and want to go fight for.
Yep.
There were people I know, and I'm not just trying to harp on just the fact of Ray Sefo, but a lot of people went to that organization because of Ray Sefo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like people aren't just going because part of that is important. They're not going to go to a company because a guy that's running it or is in charge had a great revenue year the past 5 years. They're not going there because of that.
So true, right? That's so true. Man, that dude is he's so great at
closing
alignments.
Brands. He had so many activations one year. I want to go fight for his company. I hope I can figure out what an activation is.
That's amazing. Amazing. All right. Well, listen, it's going to be a busy week. I know you guys have stuff from here. You guys are going to the press conference. I'll see you guys at the mixer.
Yeah, a little later on. We're going to go get a little lunch, get a little food in here beforehand. But then, we're going to go get set up early. It's big. Got the boxing ceremony weigh-ins, and then we got the UFC
big
stuff
weekend.
after that.
And look, we already know in March, because I just saw the announcement. They just announced Power Slap is the same week as the UFC pay-per-view in March. You got to believe. In
UFC
fact,
what?
BJJ.
You said the UFC pay-per-view? What is that?
Sorry, the numbered event. That's going to take me a while.
I know, right?
What does WWE call it? PLE?
PLE, Premium Live Event. Premium Live Event. So we already know Power Slap. I think UFC, BJJ, have they been announced for March or not?
I don't think so.
Not yet. I can't remember because I know sometimes they announce their schedule in advance. But
It's coming.
I can't remember. So
coming.
We're not that far away from Power Slap, boxing, BJJ, and UFC
all together.
All in 1 week.
Sounds like the UFC in 2014.
Yeah. When they used to
see kids these days.
They don't
when
even
we
know.
had to go from the MGM Grand Press Conference and then physically run to the Cosmo to do a fight night and then wake up the next day to do weigh-ins.
An official weigh-in into a press conference, into a ceremonial weigh-in.
And none of which are the same fight.
Oh, my God.
I remember we had to go do a press conference at, I think it was MGM, and then it was the press conference for the Friday fights, but then they had to do the weigh-ins for the press conference for the Saturday fights, but they had to do the weigh-ins for the Thursday fights back to back, and then we had to go to another thing immediately after. Oh, my God.
It's funny you talk about that. You talk about the 2014. I know a lot of people I've seen, the peak of MMA was 2015, and the sport is getting bigger. Like, it's bigger. The peak of MMA is right now. But I will say, and granted, everybody kind of looks back or whatever, but during that era when we're covering Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar, John Jones, wow.
Well, I always say the best 12 months. 12 months of MMA was UFC 194 to UFC, I believe, was it 207?
Right.
That because 194 was Conor Aldo.
Right.
And then right into that was Condit Lawler.
Oh.
And then February, I can't remember. That might have been something. I can't remember but that you also had a fight night with Anderson fought Bisping, and then you also had Ronda coming back. You had Conor fighting a bunch. You had Brock coming back for 200. You had 196 was in March with Diaz McGregor.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. It was
a stretch.
That was the best 12 months of MMA you'll ever see.
When people look back on it, I feel like they're looking at us trying to criticize what's happening now. I don't think you should do that. What I do think you should, that was a special time in the sport, man. It really
back
was.
when we had a press conference with John Jones, Conor, and Ronda on the stage together.
Amazing.
Oh, my God. And then they had that fan Q&A with DC, John, Conor, and Poirier up on stage with the stick mics.
Yep.
They just, oh, man. Good old days.
Good days,
Good
man.
old days.
What's the year look like for you? I mean, you've been like I said, you're the road dog now. You basically covering every pay-per-view essentially.
I would say most of them. I'm not doing Sydney.
Okay.
Simply because, and this is not a knock. I like the fight. It's hard to justify flying to Sydney for a fight that we already saw.
Yeah.
Money-wise.
It's not cheap to go down there.
No. If they had made Josh Van Tyra for that co-main.
Yeah.
Probably. But
I can see that from a business perspective. It's tough, man. The flight's expensive, and then once you get down to Australia,
it's also next
expensive.
week.
Yeah.
So if people don't realize, you have a monthly travel budget.
Yeah.
So 2 big pay-per-views in 1 month, tough. Houston and Seattle are big maybes.
Yep.
just simply because Strickland does numbers and then Izzy's Izzy.
Yep.
March is going to be nuts and April's going to be nuts.
That's crazy. You do anything, boxing, influencer boxing, anything like that?
If it's in New York or that area, or if it's like a big enough thing, then for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I might try to do the Tiafimo fight in the end of January.
Nice.
So instead of Sydney, I'll do Tiafimo because that's at MSG.
That's cool.
I can just do that. Yeah. Boxing it's such a chaos.
It's chaos.
So chaos.
Listen, man, I know it may sound like we're complaining, but the Zuffa machine in terms of operating an event from an operations perspective and a media perspective, big difference.
I did Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, and so I showed up like a UFC MMA reporter would do. I showed up for the first fight, and they saved all media for after the fight, but there's no media room. So I sat in my seat with my Pelican on my lap for the entire event.
Yep. I've showed up to a boxing event where they gave me a seat like that, and I turned right back around and left. I was
crazy.
Peace. I'm out. I was like, I'm not going to do this.
It'd be amazing. It'd be cool to see. What if that changes? What if they start realizing
what I've noticed? I've talked with Oscar about this because we've since covered a lot. I did Taylor Serrano. I did Tank Davis and Roach and Ryan Garcia and Haney. We as MMA reporters, at the end of the press conference, we immediately start uploading, editing, and cutting clips of the press conference.
Right.
Boxing media is kind of trained to run to because they break off into scrums, or you try to get the coaches.
They go do little one-on-ones afterwards
with the coaches. So they all do that. So there's specifically for Haney, for Tank Davis Roach, that was the draw where it should have been a knockdown because he needed to wipe his eyes. They all broke off for these trying to get coaches, and I'm the only one in the world that is sitting in the back uploading the press conference and cutting clips. I am confident MMA Fighting was the first one to get video of the press conference out.
Wow.
Because it wasn't live streamed.
It's not live streamed.
So to this, that's why I cover more boxing now, because MMA Fighting and boxing this works. The numbers were huge because we were the spot for hours. We were the only one with the video up. So it's weird seeing. I think boxing media is going to have to change for that because you're not going to be able to run up on these guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird thing.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It was
Zuffa's not going to allow that.
For Crawford Canelo, when Crawford walked out for the media day, the boxing media tried to run up. Nah. You know what it reminded me of? When Habib showed up in Abu Dhabi.
When you mentioned Abu Dhabi earlier, that went through my head. That was definitely my darkest moment. In I lost my shit.
Oh yes, I've told that story to people that don't know who you are. And they're like, "Wait, what? Why is that a big deal?" I'm like, "You just don't get it.
You just don't get it. I flew all the way over here, and I'm not getting Habib. F you." Oh, that was great. All right, guys. Well, appreciate the time. Appreciate all the effort you guys are putting in. I appreciate you guys letting me show up to the mixer, even though I don't feel like I earned my spot tonight. But I'll have a cocktail.
This is the John Morgan mixer in memory of Abby Subban.
Oh man, yeah. Thanks for saying that, man. I saw some great photos of everybody that was there in London putting
that was
the rest.
Nice.
And
that was wonderful.
Kudos to MVP showed up, which I thought was above and beyond.
Wow.
So yeah, there was a small space you could see on the stream. It was packed to the house. So I had people standing in the lines, and me being me was like, "Can the camera guy please raise the tripod a little bit?" But they were able to zoom in and all that other stuff. But I will give all the credit. I thought that was so cool that MVP showed up as well as some other guys. We had a packed house of really, really cool people and a lot of people that loved him. So I thought it was really great that they were able to do that.
There was a moment when the pastor couldn't get the pages open because they were stuck together or something. It was an uncomfortable amount of time.
Yes.
And MVP is just come on, mate. And I can joke about that because Abby would joke about it.
I would absolutely joke about it.
Abby would joke about that.
Oh, man. That's what we'll have a cocktail for tonight in memory of Abby for sure, man. All right, guys. Appreciate the time. We'll see you tonight. For everybody else, thanks for listening.